Good evening. England have beaten Brazil 2-1 and I'm here with the Sun's very own Rob Beasley, Shaun Custis to get their immediate post-match thoughts. We've beaten Brazil. Frank Lampard now says we can beat anyone in the world. Is that right, or is we reading too much into a meaningless friendly?
I've heard many an England player say, we're world beaters, we're great, we're going to do ourselves justice all around the world, and it's just never happened. So, yeah, I think Frank's pumped up. I think this is only the fourth time we've beaten Brazil, so we should be rightly proud of that, but let's not get carried away. It was a friendly.
But remember, Frank missed the Euros, so he's probably even more pumped up for going to the World Cup, and he might have thought at the Euros that he wouldn't get another shot at a tournament, and he's going to go possibly to the World Cup and in with a chance of playing at the World Cup because he still looks fit as a flea, you know, capable of playing at that level.
He got that winning goal with Steven Gerrard on the pitch as well. So Gerrard and Lampard can't play in the same team?
You don't just go, off you go Lampard, off you go Gerrard, because we're going to need those players even in Brazil. If we get there, as I keep saying.
Frank as well likes his records. He's got his eye on that Chelsea record, and surely he would think about England and he'd want to stay.
Well, I think this is 94 caps tonight, 27 goals in 94 international appearances. That's 1 in 3. That's pretty smoky for a midfielder.
Wayne Rooney's got 33.
Wayne's got 33 in 79.
Yeah.
I've been reading the record books. So,
doing your homework,
you know, Rooney's our star striker, and Frank's 6 goals behind him. So he is essential to England in many respects for goals from midfield. Roy wants a team that doesn't just rely on a striker. He wants goals to come from everywhere, from Theo Walcott, from Gerrard, from Wilshere, from Lampard.
Walcott's coming on strong now as well. Seems to have, talking to him in the week, seems to have got a new belief. We saw 2 storming runs within about 2 minutes of each other tonight where he took on the full-back and he fancied it. And we've always known he had the potential. It was just whether he could make just that next step, and he looks like he can make that next step.
We are building a nucleus of young players as well. I mean, you forget, Theo Walcott's, what, 23? He's been around since he's been 16, so we think he's mid-20s, late 20s. He's not, he's a kid still in football in terms of development. We've got Welbeck, we've got Cleverley. I think Chris Smalling played tonight, did really, really well. Cahill's only 24, 25, so there is a nucleus of young players coming through. But I think one of the key things tonight for me was watching Steven Gerrard, the skipper. His presence and his influence on the game allowed the likes of Cleverley and Wilshere to go out and do things. They've got Stevie G's with us, and that's a massive, massive help to these young players coming through. You know, there was a lot of things to be encouraged about today.
He did stick with that central defensive pairing this evening as if he was trying them out perhaps for future matches. Do you think he's going to stick with them as a central defensive pairing, Smalling and...
Well, you see, he's got a slight problem in that Lescott was getting a lot of games for England, but of course he's not a regular in the Manchester City side anymore, so he has to look for other options. I don't think he knows right now. That's a bit of a problem for me, a little bit worried. I would say though, I'm a lot more confident going to Montenegro than I was before this game kicked off tonight.
One thing that stood out for me in the second half is that Lucas Moura come on for Brazil. What a player. You can see why PSG have just paid, what, 45 million euros? When you see a player of that quality, it does put it into perspective of what, you know, we talk about Wilshere, great young talent. That's the sort of thing we've got to build on. We've got, is the finished article? No. What he can become is very, very exciting.
He has to be in that team. Rob says he's not the finished article. He looks more of a finished article than some of the midfielders we've already tried there. To me, he's a must. He has to play. We should build ourselves around him.
The more he plays, the better, and the more he rubs shoulders with the likes of Frank Lampard and Steve Gerrard, who've been there, seen it and done it, the better as well. He looked like, as Shaun says, he'd been around for a long time. You think, the pressure, 150th anniversary for the FA. It's at Wembley. It's against Brazil. If anybody's going to feel it, you know, Wilshere, is he up to it? Is it? He went out there and showed, I can handle this.
Are we going to have to sort of set an England team around Wilshere? Do we make him our key man?
For me, he is the key man. I think when we looked initially at that first half, we thought, hang on, is it 2 sitting? Is it Wilshere and Gerrard? It quickly became clear that Wilshere was not doing any of the sitting. Gerrard was prepared to do that. And Stevie still gets forward a little bit, but he was obviously sitting much deeper than Wilshere. He was disciplined. He wasn't just headless chicken running around.
The one thing about Wilshere, he's got that swagger, he's got that arrogance of youth, but he also is sliding these little passes. What I liked about it, we're not just lumping it long and playing it out wide and trying to get the cross in. We were sliding little passes through it for Walcott to cut in on, for Welbeck. I loved all that. Absolutely, draw the man, slip it between the two defenders for your man to go through.
The ball was on the deck throughout the 90
Well, if you
minutes.
think it's thrilling, actual football like Rob's talking about, like these little passes being played in, Wilshere buzzing around a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, Rooney almost gets overlooked in his performance again tonight. And Rooney is, as Neymar correctly identified, world-class player. However, Neymar forgot to mention, or didn't even know, Jack Wilshere existed, and perhaps Theo Walcott.
Who would you
coming
rather
into
have,
that.
Neymar or Jack Wilshere?
I thought Neymar was absolutely
I
useless.
was glad you
Anonymous.
mentioned Mr. Neymar, and his England are a one-man team. I think
If you look at his own game,
you
I
could
would
have taken
suggest.
Neymar out of the Brazil lineup tonight. You wouldn't have noticed, would you?
No.
Look, maybe that's a one-off, maybe it's the way it goes, but the Brazilian press was saying tonight, were questioning why Neymar doesn't do it against, strong defences.
What was the mood from the Brazilian press? Because obviously people.
Well, they were
at home
they
don't
were
get to hear
disappointed.
this.
They were disappointed in Neymar too. There is
Yeah,
a
they
feeling that he comes up against tough defenders and he can't quite do it.
Just one last word. Danny Welbeck. He was a bit quiet this evening compared to how well some other people were
I
playing.
just wouldn't. He's been asked to do a particular job, pretty much out wide on the touchline.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't always suit him. I thought he was very willing. He did a lot of tracking back and that sort of stuff, which maybe you don't always appreciate. And he is an important part of Hodgson's squad and somebody you do want there.
Well, I think Roy likes the link up with Rooney. It's something they work on with at United. The one chance he had, he made the wrong decision. He went with his favourite foot, which was the wrong foot.
Yeah.
And he missed it. Okay. Oh, I forgot about Neymar's miss. Talking about Welbeck's miss.
Oh, I know, yeah.
What a miss at the back post.
Final question then. Is Roy Hodgson the man to win us the World Cup in 2014? I know it's a ridiculous question, having just been presented
Don't ask
for a
it
minute, but I'm going to ask you that question.
Look,
After you, Shaun.
I think Roy Hodgson is growing into the job. He's not sitting there thinking, you know what, I've just developed a team that's going to win the World Cup at the moment. We're not even got there yet. No. And it'll all count for it absolutely now if we go and lose in Montenegro. Look, you have to believe, if you get there, you have to believe you have a chance. You do have to believe in it. Yeah. And I think Hodgson probably thinks he's got maybe 20% chance at the moment, but it's going up.
We missed the stirring music there and the St George's flags and everything. We have got no chance of winning the World Cup in Brazil. Every World Cup in South America has been won by a South American team. It will not change this time. England, let's qualify first, and then let's go and enjoy it when we do.
Fellas, thanks very much for your time. You'll hear from the three of us again soon, but don't forget you can catch up with all the latest football news on the Sun's website at thesun.co.uk/football.